Welcome to the ultimate guide for multifamily property management. If you're an investor looking to figure out how to manage your properties to boost profits, provide better tenant service, and help facilitate your investments, then you've come to the right place. In this video, we're going to deep dive into all these different topics, so stay tuned and look forward to sharing it with you.
Welcome back, everybody, to Money Mondays, where we put out new content every Monday to make you a better investor. And if you don't want to do the hard work, then invest with us and we'll make your investments better. We're Disrupt Equity and we have over 700 million in assets under management. We have bought and sold over 5,000 units throughout Texas and the Southeast, averaging 25% plus average annualized returns to our investors.
So having effective property manager is one of the most important things you can do in your investment. Property manager is the person that makes or break the deal. And in reality, right, they are coming in to essentially operate a multi-million-dollar business. Whether your property is 100, 200, 300 units, you need professional property management that knows how to lease, how to handle maintenance, how to manage tenants, and how to build an experience for your tenants. And so ultimately, choosing the right property management company is an important thing. So Ben, whenever you're choosing a property management company, what are some of the questions people should ask as they kind of handle it?
You know, I think the most important thing that people need to understand is, do they have experience with that specific asset class in that submarket, right? You know, I mean, if people are coming in new, they're used to doing Class A deals in Houston, and you're going to ask them to do a workforce Class C housing property in DFW, they might not have the experience in that submarket, right?
Just like for someone that might have managed a laundromat is not going to know how to manage a McDonald's. Very different situation. Yeah. So you want to understand what they've done. Is it relevant? Does it apply to the business plan you're doing?
And I'd say the other thing too is really the track record of success in the business plan that you're trying to accomplish, right? And what do I mean by that? Some deals are going to be a heavy value add. So you need to have not only the right property management company, the right property manager, because there's a lot of things going on. You're upgrading units, you're doing paint, you're doing roof. There's all kinds of chaos going on. And if you have a manager that's, used to a sleepy Class A property that hasn't done any upgrades, they're not going to be able to thrive in a Class C workforce value add property. So you want to make sure that they have that experience, not only in the submarket, not only in the asset class, but in the type of property business plan that you're trying to do.
Yeah, and maybe on that same vein, some properties it's all about providing clean, safe, affordable housing. Other properties is about providing an environment where people feel like they're part of a community, right? Each of these are different, and so you need the right manager. And I'll add one thing too. It's really, one thing I like to look for is a manager that has financial acumen. They need to understand the financials. It's not just about leasing. It's an operation, it's a business, and understanding if I do these expenses, how that impacts the bottom line. And so that's something, with our management company, so we're vertically integrated, right? We also have our own team. And one of the things that we really do is train managers to understand their financials, be part of that process, and be able to start to handle the weekly calls and understand why ownership is asking questions about certain things, right? Because ownership is looking at it from the financial perspective. And so again, you want a property management company and team that understands those things because it will impact your bottom.
I'd say last but not least is the communication between the ownership group, which is you, and your property management company, right? If your expectation is, hey, I want to talk to somebody every single day and I want reports constantly, then you got to make sure that your property management company is on board and that those expectations are aligned, because they might be only used to talking to you once a month and providing one financial report, and that's it, right? So you need to make sure that those are aligned, those expectations are aligned up front, because otherwise you could get into a situation where you're not getting the product that you were expecting too. So I think that's important when you're trying to choose the right property management. So once you actually picked the right property management company, I think it's really, really important to start off with going through what is your business plan, what is the budget, what are the returns that you're expecting from your investors, right? I think that's where a lot of, people kind of miss the mark, so to speak, whenever they're working with a property management company, because the management company is going off of this return profile or this budget, and you're over here, and these things are not aligned, right? So you got to start there and get the budget set. Make sure that they understand that you're trying to get this level of return to your investor. And then from there, you can start kind of managing the budget and trying to see where you can find efficiencies through economies of scale. Where can you potentially streamline expenses? Where can you push rents? How can you, do unit upgrades more programmatically and be able to really, really push those rent premiums on those unit upgrades, working hand in hand with your management company?
It's about, what is the business plan, right? And as an investor, as a buyer, you have a business plan in mind. We're going to upgrade these units. We're going to put in this CapEx. But you also need a property management company that can marry that. And more importantly, they can talk you down a ledge if they disagree, right? Or they'll give you other ideas that you're not thinking of, right? And so, to me, the business plan is not just what ownership dictates. It's really where the two agree and settle on and then begin to execute on it. And so that's where you can start to figure out, how do we truly drive expenses down? How do we truly drive revenue up? And how do we really boost that NOI? And so you have to be smart with your relationship with that property management company. This goes back to the financial acumen piece, because the business plan is really the marriage of the two, and that's how you can go out and get success. And so really spend time, and I think this is an area most investors don't spend enough time on, is really not just what is the plan high level, oh, we're going to upgrade 100 units, but take it at a deeper level, right?
Yep.
Go dig into and flush out a true budget that reflects the business plan that everybody's bought in on, because then you can start to measure success each month. I think I got asked this question actually earlier today about KPIs and how often. And, and this business is not about a daily KPI, but really weekly and monthly are the right cadences to start to figure out, are you hitting the operation efficiencies that you're looking for or not? So then next up, once you've figured out the management company, you have an idea on the business plan, it's really about how do you execute it and maintain the standard. Again, ultimately, people want to live somewhere that they are comfortable in, right? And that can mean safe, that can mean affordable, that can mean exciting. It means all these different things. And so really having standards that you can rinse and repeat are important. And a really good example of that is just around tenant screening, right? Is the management company screening tenants to give you what you're targeting, right? Again, if you're trying to get that upper echelon of rents, that upper echelon of tenants, that's a very different screening criteria than if you're looking for middle of the pack. Really stay on your management company and make sure they're doing that. That's where we like to live by a trust but verify piece, right? Have a plan with them, trust them to do it, but also you need to go in and verify, because sometimes if ownership is putting pressure on management to get occupancy up, right, they may start to lower their standards, and you want to make sure that doesn't happen, because that will come back to bite you 6 months, a year later, whenever, hey, you have the wrong people in there, and now you're essentially hurting your bottom line by having those people.
I would also say, the way that you get those more upper echelon residents into the property, right, is curb appeal, right? So I think it's very, very important to have your property management company be diligent in terms of keeping up with the property, maintaining a high level of landscaping and curb appeal, right around the entrance, the pool area where a lot of the amenities are, and then along their tour path to where they're ultimately going to show the model. I think that that's important. People kind of forget about those little things, but ultimately it's about getting people in the door, getting the right people in the door. And if you go by and the landscaping's overgrown, there's trash everywhere, there's broken down cars, that's not going to attract the right level of tenant. And I think that we figured that out early on, and I think that that's an important thing for people to understand whenever they're working with their management company.
And on that same vein too, the other piece of that too, I'd say is referrals, right? The tenants that live in a place with friends will take care of that place more likely. They will refer people that they like. And so again, if you're building a real community, they'll tell their friends, those friends will come in. We have tenant referral programs, right? Do all these things to get the right people in to maintain that higher quality standard of a place.
All right, so once you develop the business plan, you've set the right bar in terms of your expectations. I think it's important for people to understand, what should you expect from your property management company, right? Typically what you're going to get is what's called a weekly report from your management company, and that's going to have all the key metrics that
sometimes the Monday morning report's another one. Depends on the management company.
It's called, it's synonymous, right? There's a lot of different, various things that you can kind of call it, right? But it's just essentially on a cadence of a weekly report. It's going to come out Monday through Wednesday, typically. And it's going to show what happened the previous, and that's going to be the basis for typically your weekly call with your management company too. Now, you're not going to be going through necessarily all of the different data on that report on that weekly call, but that's supposed to accompany the two things. On top of that, you're going to typically get monthly financial reports. That's going to be your income statement. That's going to be your balance sheet. That's going to be a rent roll, and that's going to be a T12, right? So those are the various reports that anybody would be looking for. And if you've gotten into this business, you kind of know what all of those are, right? So it's important to understand that. Then on a yearly basis, you're going through and you're developing, what is the next year's budget going to be? So those are really the three main touch points that you have with your management company. And there are obviously going to be various things along the way, but those are the products that you should expect from your property management company when you're working with the right folks.
So that said, that's your ultimate guide on property management. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I know we just hit the surface. There's a tremendous amount of information in property management. It's something that you're learning new every day. And so we definitely intend to publish more content in the future. So if you liked what you saw, subscribe. You'll get to see all that upcoming information. And we're going to constantly share what we're learning and what else we haven't covered. So that said, thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you guys next time.